Good morning, everyone. Lo here. Banda Guru, I hope you're all doing wonderful. It is Monday morning. uh, What is it? The 17th of November. I always need to check the date 1,000 times when I get on these lives, just to make sure I've got the right date. It's been many a time where I've written the incorrect date. Okay, so it's Monday morning. I hope you all had a great weekend. I definitely did. It was my mum's birthday, so that was really lovely to be able to celebrate another year with her. I'm very grateful. Spending time with the family. You'll notice that the daily forecasts weren't available over the weekend, which is a little bit disappointing for me because I love to get them out every single day. But there was just so much on to be able to deliver. It was just too much. So I'm excited to be back here this morning to deliver the forecast for today. What I'll do is I did a little bit of prep work here, and so I wrote a line for each star sign. This gets the flow moving a lot faster. A reminder that all of this is based purely on intuition as well. So I'm recording everything at the same time, just so that I've got all my Instagram and everything ready to go. So it makes my day a lot easier. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out. What I'll do is dive in. Actually, before I dive in, just to let you guys know, as of, I believe, it'll be probably maybe even Thursday. From Thursday until next week, Wednesday, there won't be any lives. I'll be running a retreat, facilitating a retreat here in Sydney. So there won't be time for the lives. So just so you know, the lives this week are only going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that'll be it until next week, Wednesday. All right. That being said, let's dive in. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. It's in the slowing down that you allow yourself to feel your purpose, dear Aries. And the reason I'm sharing this with you guys today is because there's a shift in understanding what your purpose is. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's one purpose and that's going to be the only purpose for the rest of your life. And I want to make that clear because often I see this all the time where people are looking for that one thing that they can then do for the rest of their lives. As you grow and shift and change and your mind grows and changes and you mature, the purpose can shift and change as well. And certainly the details can shift and change. However, for today, the key for the Aries is to slow down so that you can access certain details that are important for you to become aware of now in relation to your purpose. And also, there's a deeper understanding of what this purpose is, what are the actions that are most valuable for you to start taking now that supports this purpose to, I want to say, come to fruition. There's a part of your purpose that begins to come to fruition. And this becomes a movement in your life that you'll be able to remain consistent with for quite some time, which I feel like is really beautiful. The consistency piece might be a little bit up and down because there'll be moments of, oh, am I on the right path? Am I not? That's normal. That's all part of your process. I wouldn't worry about that. Just be mindful not to stop with the consistency because you're having a bad day, or your mood changes, things like that. You have to be very mindful of. It's very easy to wake up one morning, you're not feeling the best, and it's like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff you'll need to be very mindful of over time. Thank you. Okay, that's for the Aries for today. Again, this is for today. Please understand that the forecast will continue to shift and change daily, unless, of course, I say, hey, this might last for a couple of days. Okay, so the mood thing's really important, and I think it's actually a big message for the Pisceans more than anybody else, but and any star sign, really, but any individual. It's very easy for all of us to wake up one day and just go, I don't really feel like doing this today. I'm not in the mood for this, or there's certain emotions that are in full, at full, we're feeling at full capacity, and then we just decide that we don't want to be consistent with something. So the mood, when there's a mood that comes in, that's the time you want to be the most consistent. And I speak to myself here, and and to all the star signs. But that's the time where we want to be the most consistent. And mood is very different from, obviously, your intuition coming in and guiding you. Just want to make that very clear. And so one of the things that the Aries can do is when the moods kind of fluctuate is take the time to connect with that stillness. So that means you go quiet, bring your attention to feeling sensations. And as you connect with that deep inner stillness, there's a space within you that doesn't move, that doesn't change, isn't affected by emotions and moods and anything that is surface and external. Connecting to that space will allow you to honor your intuition and the consistency piece there as well. Okay, so then we've got for the Taurians moving forward. So this is good morning, Isabella. Lovely to see you. I did have a very, very, very good weekend. Thank you. I hope you did too. Okay, so I feel like the message for the Taurians is going to be quite similar to what it's been for the last little while. So keep it simple, dear Taurus. This is going to be the most prominent message for you over the coming weeks. Also, when I say keep it simple, one of the places I'm referring in your life for you to keep it simple is the to-do list. So you're going to have a list of things that you need to get done, let's say between now and the end of the year. And there'll be moments of overwhelm, moments of, oh my gosh, there's so much happening. And then moments of maybe ease and grace, a little bit feeling more relaxed and peaceful. What's most important for the Taurians during this period of where the overwhelm may come in is keeping it simple. So whatever you've got on your list and whatever actions there are to take, break it down. The more you break it down, the simpler it will begin to feel, even some of the complicated tasks that you need to get done. So there are going to be tasks that will be complicated and have a lot of detail. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm suggesting for you guys, however, is to break it down so that you can keep it simple. Instead of looking at what you have to do in the entirety between now and, let's say, the next month or two, okay, what is it that I need to take care of today? What have I got on my list today? And don't put 150 things on your list for one day. Immediately that's going to overwhelm you, and you'll be lucky if you even get to one thing on that list. So please be mindful of that. And I'm in particular sharing this with the Taurians because those moments of complication, those moments of, oh my God, there's so much to do, your ego thrives on that because there's a lot of drama. And for Taurians, when there's drama, there's that feeling, I feel alive, I feel alive. Again, it's not right, not wrong, not good, not bad. Come back, present moment, keep it simple, and break it down and be clear on the tasks that you need to get done today. I know I've mentioned this before with the Taurians. Their need for adventure. Taurians thrive on adventure. And for a Taurus, there's no difference in the feeling of adventure between drama and no drama. And this is where you find Taurians can create a lot of drama for themselves in their own mind, in their lives, because it helps them to feel alive. So what they love, excuse me, and seek mostly is adventure, because they thrive on adventure. As a Taurus, you will absolutely thrive on adventure. That's why you'll see lots of Taurians maybe do lots of travel and do things that are adventure packed. When you're not choosing decisions in your life that lead to adventure and that sort of energy, your tendency will be to create a lot of drama, because the drama makes you feel alive too. The drama gives the energy, the vibe of adventure. So, and I feel like with the Taurians, the mind and the body or the brain doesn't know the difference. So you have to consciously make decisions in your life to make sure that you have adventure in your day-to-day life in some form, right? And sometimes the adventure for you is, let's say you're driving to work, take a different route. That's adventure. That's something different. That's something different. The little different things that you do as a Taurus are full of adventure for you. Give the energy, the vibration, the feeling of adventure. Because maybe you're not traveling right now, right? Maybe you're spending a lot of time at home or working, whatever it may be. Then you have to create moments of adventure in your day-to-day life to feel that I feel alive feeling. So that's for the Taurians. I would recommend that whilst you're listening to this, I'm not sure if you're driving or you're sitting, or maybe you're just doing things around the house, it's pretty early, you're getting ready for work, for those of you that go into work. As you're doing whatever it is that you're doing at the moment, just continuously practice feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. So every so often, what that means is you may feel the flow of the breath, notice how that feels going up the nostrils and out of the nostrils. That there is a sensation itself. And or bring your attention to feeling sensations anywhere in the inner energy field of your body whilst you're listening. You want to practice this over and over again, in particular whilst you're in this space listening to these forecasts. Okay, so then we've got for the Gemini. Okay. You have some powerful messages that are awaiting your attention at the moment, dear Gemini. I feel like I could say as far as 3 to 4 very powerful messages. And the messages, are deeply personal. They are messages that will support you to move through a situation in your life that has felt really difficult and has pulled out more darkness than lightness in you of late. These messages require your ability to pay attention to some quiet and some stillness and to slow down. Without giving energy and attention to quiet and or creating an atmosphere in a space that feels quiet, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to drop into, let's say, the present moment. The present moment has so much depth to it. It's not just what we're seeing with our eyes, what we think is happening. It's so much deeper. And for you to access these messages that I'm referring to that I feel are deeply personal, then you've got to be able to allow your attention to go into that deeper present moment awareness space. And for that, you could invite the energy of quiet. You could just sit quietly, sit in a room. Doesn't really matter what the room looks like. You may even close your eyes and just sit there quietly. Put your hands on your knees or something of that nature, maybe feet on the ground. And every so often, notice what it feels like to be sitting. Just keep listening to the sound of quiet. That will allow you to start to access a much slower pace, which is the pace of the present moment. From there, your intuition will begin to guide you as you drop deeper into the present moment. So that's the most valuable message for the Geminis at the moment, and it's a beautiful practice that you can implement in your life day to day to hear messages and insights that are deeply personal for you. You have to come out of the noise in order to hear your intuition at that deeper level. You need to come out of the noise. And the noise is mental. The thoughts in our minds are always going to be very, very noisy. And so they compete for our attention continuously, 24 hours a day. And so what happens is when you're giving attention to a thought of any kind, each thought has a different, let's say, frequency and vibration, of course, depending on what the content or the nature of that thought is. And so when you're giving attention to the thought and it's loud and noisy, then you're going to feel that same loud and noisiness. And then what happens is you start to operate from that space throughout your entire day. That's why you hear, for example, your morning routine. When you hear it everywhere. First thing you do in the morning is don't jump onto social media. Don't turn on the news or read, newspaper, and even just the first 10, 15 minutes, half an hour of your morning. Go into a space that is deeply quiet. That's where you will access your intuition. And that's where you will be able to also choose consciously the vibration, the frequency that you're going to operate from, or the space that you will operate from in that day, during that day. In particular for the Geminis, I'm sharing this because I know you guys have had a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges that you've been facing that have triggered some very big emotions. And those big emotions can also turn up in the form of very noisy content in your mind. And so what we want to do is not necessarily run away from these emotions or run away from the mental noise either. It's bringing our attention, despite or regardless of everything that's going on, into a quiet space. That quiet space over time, if not immediately, because it may not be immediate for a lot of people as they're not familiar with quiet. It can be quite scary. That quiet space feels like home. Eventually, you start to become more familiar with that quiet space. And in that quiet space, your intuition guides you, talks to you, has conversations with you, shows you. It's mind blowing the wisdom that you have access to in that quiet space. Okay, so that's for the Geminis. You'll even notice delivering the forecast for the Geminis, I need to tone it down a little bit and go into a quiet space. For the person that's receiving the content, hopefully can start to quieten themselves as they're listening to the words. Some people are so identified with such loud noise that when they watch the video, they won't last more than a couple of seconds. It will just trigger too much for them. This is rubbish. This is whatever it may be, because they're so identified with all the loudness and the emotions and the stories that quiet space will actually trigger them, rather than for other people, they might watch it and go, this feels really calming. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Okay, great. We've got the Cancerians for today. Move forward with an idea that you've been pondering probably about for the last 3 or so weeks, dear Cancer. It's an idea you've been pondering. I feel like it's an idea that's been in your sphere for quite some time. It's just that you've taken the time to consciously ponder it in the last 3 or so weeks. It's a beautiful idea. It's a brilliant idea. It's going to take some work to bring the idea to fruition. And the work that it's going to take to bring the idea to fruition is worth your time. It's worth your time because of the part of yourself that you need to access, which is a very deep focus. And that deep focus will show you more of your capacity. It will show you more of what you're, I want to say actually or really capable of. I don't know if those words are really useful here, but it will show you what you are capable of. Now, the actions that come with bringing this idea to fruition need to have some urgency around them. This is not an idea that you can continue to leave on the back burner, nor do you need to keep pondering about it. And the pondering part is, do I do it? Do I not do it? Or maybe I should. This is a good idea. Yeah, I can see. I'll come back to it. For example, after Christmas, I'll have more time, or I'll come back to it in the new year. There might be more time there. You're going to get so busy. Your time will be taken up by so many other things if you don't give energy and attention to this particular idea and allow it to take you to the space of that deep focus that I referred to just earlier. Really bringing this idea to fruition is about you accessing that deep focus, which shows you what you're capable of. And this is what I love most about intuition. An idea comes to you and you might think, oh, great, the idea is to bring more money into my life, or the idea is to get this or get that, or whatever the story may be. There's always a story, right? Then the truth is your intuition is guiding you with an idea, delivering an idea of some kind to you, ultimately to help you recognize your capacity. And so for you, this is what I was saying with the Cancerians, for you to actually bring this idea to fruition, which is something that you need to do now, it's going to require a lot of your energy and attention, in particular that deep focus. So what happens is this idea helps you access that deep focus that you have as a tool within you. And when you access that deep focus and you use that deep focus to bring this idea to fruition through the actions that you're going to take, with the energy of deep focus, in that process, you get to see what you are capable of. That's pure intuition. Now, your thinking will tell you, oh, it's a good idea. Yes, it's going to bring more money in or whatever. And or it's a great idea. I'm just really busy. I'll come back to it later. Intuition's not going to keep poking and poking and poking and poking. I know people, I hear this a lot where people go, if it's true, it'll just keep coming back to you. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So the opportunity for you, me, all of us, is to continue to pay attention to present moment awareness. So when an idea of any kind does land, then we take action on that idea. Don't convince yourself that you know why that idea is useful. They're just thoughts, and thoughts are limited, and they can only reach a particular ceiling. The thoughts can't rise above limitation. And so this intuition will guide you beautifully so long as you're paying attention and you take the action that's connected to whatever the idea is. Intuition works in so many different ways, in more ways than I feel that any of us can actually put into words. And I feel like when it truly comes to intuition, there are no words. Recently somebody I know that was writing a book asked me if I could, they're doing a chapter on intuition, and asked me if I could maybe, I don't know, read something that they were writing and confirm it or whatever. And I said, look, whatever you've learned from me, that's great, because I've done courses and stuff before. I personally wouldn't write a book necessarily about intuition, because ultimately that deep space where intuition is alive, words can't take you there, unfortunately. Even though words is all we have in terms of expressing, I wish I could just sit here quietly and express energy without having to say any words. Wow, that would be amazing. That's not going to happen anyway, not at this stage. So what I was explaining to this person is that I'm not going to sit here and, I wouldn't even write a book about intuition. If you want to, that's great. You go ahead and you want to write how intuition is used or whatever, that's up to you. Ultimately, what I can do, sure, is give words that are signposts for you to go back to that space where intuition lives, exists, breathes. And you accessing that space, when you're in there, there are no words. I can't tell you how that's going to feel for you. Because if I were to give words about that space, the depth of that space, the feeling of that space, it would very easily become misconstrued, and it would redirect you back to thinking. I don't know how else to explain that. Anyway, I don't know that I did a great job of explaining that there. Ultimately, what I'm saying is words are just signposts. It's a space that you have to feel and connect to yourself. Nobody else can take you to that space. Okay, so Leo. Ooh, this is a good one. It's a good one because it's a continuum of what's been happening for the Leos of late. So I love this. I remember writing this. I think I wrote this about 3-4 days ago. Your confidence will continue to grow based on your inner dialogue, dear Leo. And so what this means for you guys at the moment is paying attention, first of all, to, of course, the present moment. And through present moment awareness, observing that inner dialogue. Once you're able to observe that inner dialogue, where there needs to be changes, you can step in and create those changes. If you're not observing the inner dialogue and you're continuously identifying with the inner dialogue, you don't have the power to make the changes that will support you to continue to grow your confidence. Now, I mentioned this just recently, and I'll say it again for the Leos in particular. Confidence is your superpower. It's a tool that you use to navigate through life, through the world, and anything that's going on in front of you. So as a Leo, you need to be able to rely on your confidence. I feel like I want to say this. Leos can't afford not to have confidence, right? And I'm talking about true confidence. I'm not necessarily talking about the kind of confidence that maybe It's like, oh, that maybe is presented based on external factors. Sure, certain external factors can help you to be confident as well. I'm really talking about that inner confidence that is already within you. You're a Leo. That confidence doesn't become bigger or less. You instead have an ability to access more of that confidence that already sits within you. I feel like I can say to the Leos that the confidence within you is already complete. And when I say you grow your confidence, what I really need to be saying instead, is that you have more access to your confidence, because the confidence within you is already complete. It's about accessing more of that confidence. And for the Leos at the moment, it's to observe that inner dialogue and the kind of conversations that you're having with yourself, about your life, and then stepping in to create shifts and changing certain words so that you can operate at a higher vibration. That's it for the Leos. I love that the Leos, I guess each star sign is different. So I love that for the Leos, the confidence doesn't necessarily grow. It's already there. It's already complete. Now, that's something I didn't really know until now. So a lot of this I don't know until I dive into the actual forecast. So that's really cool. I don't know if any Leos are here, but if you guys knew this yourselves, being a Leo. Hang on, I'll have a look in a second. Yeah, Emma. Okay. Awesome. So you don't need to grow your confidence then, Em. So you already know that. It's really about accessing the confidence that you already have. I don't know. And also, I want to say confidence is, this is my feeling, isn't something that isn't necessarily loud and proud. And, it doesn't need to be that way. Confidence can be something that's very quiet as well. Okay. Now we've got the Virgo. Okay, cool. This is an interesting one for the Virgos. So again, for today. Don't focus on the timing of everything at the moment, dear Virgo. And so what this means for you is you may have certain goals or even visions that you're working on or bringing to fruition. Don't get lost in the timeline of those. I feel like sometimes what you end up doing is forcing a date and then creating so much pressure and then trying to operate from a space that feels expansive, but it's very difficult to do that when you're under so much pressure and you're the one that puts the pressure on yourself because you're convinced that whatever you're bringing to fruition needs to happen by this particular date. And so what you're working on bringing to fruition can't have a date. And what can be scary about this is that then if you don't put a date, then the part of you that doesn't believe in what you're doing rises to the surface even more. We want that part to rise to the surface. That's actually a really great thing. So when there's a part of you that doesn't believe that you can bring any of this stuff to fruition, whatever it is that you're working on. And what you want to do is allow that part of you for a moment or two to express itself. Take the time to hear it, take the time to give it the validation that it requires. Once it's had the validation that it requires, it no longer has the power over you, and it can't keep taking your attention away into the space of, I don't believe that this is possible, I don't believe that this is possible. So you have an opportunity for a tremendous shift in your life right now by opening, let's just say, your heart to the part of you that doesn't believe in what you're doing. It doesn't believe that you can bring a certain dream to fruition. And by the way, that part of you doesn't believe for a reason. And part of it could be because you've attempted to bring, let's say, this vision to fruition in the past and it hasn't quite come to fruition for whatever reason. And so that part of you has felt let down time and time again. You can't just keep shutting that part of you down. It needs the space to feel heard, seen, accepted, validated, and then it will trust you as a leader, because you need to lead that part of you. And once there's trust there, that part of you, again, no longer has the power. It doesn't keep taking you back to, I can't do this or this is not possible. I would recommend for the Virgos to listen to this a few times over today. Keep a pen and pad handy to see what insights come to you based on what you're hearing here. Sometimes you'll hear me say, listen to that particular forecast a few times over. And the reason for that is because there will be many different insights and personal messages for who you are as an individual that will pop in through your level of understanding, your level of consciousness. So keeping a pen and pad is handy, is useful. Also, some things that I say, you're not really listening yet. So you could be thinking, you're in the middle of something, you're eager to get the forecast for the day. Great, got it, move on. And it didn't really land, nothing landed. I would highly recommend that even though the forecast itself is about 2 or so, just under 3 minutes, if you can just listen to it quietly a few times over. What am I really hearing here? What is the personal message for me here? Because I'm talking to who you are as an individual more so than your star sign. If you're listening from the space of who you are as an individual more so than your star sign. Oh, sounds a bit like a oh, got the word. Oh, it'll come to me. Okay, so that's for the Virgos. We're going to jump into Libra. So I'm going to say it sounds a bit like a puzzle. It's not necessarily a puzzle. There's nothing for you to figure out here. Whatever you don't understand, it doesn't make sense, just bring your attention to the flow of your breath. Your intuition will guide you perfectly. Okay, beautiful. So, Librans. Yeah. Okay. This, by the way, for the Librans has everything to do with 2026. Okay, so because I've done the yearly themes for each star sign for 2026, and part of what I'm sharing with the Librans today is very much connected to your theme for 2026. Listening with your entire being needs to be your number one practice moving forward, dear Libra. And I know I've said this to you perhaps many times before. Learning the art of listening. Now, I'm sure there are lots of books on it. I'm sure there's lots of things that you can watch and listen to and read that will talk about listening. Learning the art of listening starts with present moment awareness. For the year ahead, which is 2026, your greatest superpower needs to be listening. Your greatest ability that you need to work on, develop, and grow needs to be listening. And so what's important for the Librans now is to understand what it means to listen with your entire being. Until you are fully present in the here and now, your attention, let's say, needs to be on the inner sensations in your body. And this is a practice that you need to stay consistent with. Then you're not able to listen with your entire being. Because listening isn't just words that you're listening to. It has nothing to do with, which I know this is very common for a lot of people, but a lot of people listen with the idea that they're just building what they're going to say next, waiting their turn to speak, and so on and so forth. That's not what this is about. Because not only are you learning to listen with your entire being so that you can be present and hear what the other person is saying, you're also learning to listen with your entire being so that you can hear what your body is saying to you, which is, for the Librans, far more valuable than what anybody else is saying. So your practice now needs to be learning to listen with your entire being. I'm actually going to talk a lot about this in the 2026 yearly forecast, let's say group sessions, and how to listen with your entire being, and give you a practice of that in that particular. It's not a course, but it's a group there'll be 5 people per group for each star sign, and whatever your practice needs to be for the year ahead, of course, I'm going to deep dive into that over there. So if you're interested in learning to truly listen with your entire being, I would highly recommend that you check out the 2026 yearly forecast. It's available on the website now. Okay, so that's a big message for the Librans, learning to listen with your entire being. It is something that I could go through here, but it requires a lot of, I want to say, practice, and I want to honor the space that is required for the Librans and be with the Librans on a call where I can say, okay, this is what it means for you as a Libra to listen with your entire being, rather than just give little hints and stuff. Because the little tips are great, they can be really useful if you're someone that is already practicing present moment awareness. If you don't know anything about listening with your entire being and practicing present moment awareness, then I would recommend jumping onto one of those sessions. Okay, so that's for the Librans. We'll move on to the Scorpio. By the way, listening with your entire being is something that we all benefit from, not just the Librans. But the reason I keep sharing it with the Librans is because there are messages from the body for the Librans that they keep either missing or dismissing. And that's because they're not truly listening with their entire being. Listening with your entire being has nothing to do with the ears. That's not about what you're hearing with your ears, by the way. It's like when you're in a conversation with somebody, and this is very rare, very rare. But imagine that you're sitting in a conversation with somebody and that person's really listening to everything you're saying. How do you feel when you walk away? It's so important because most people are not listening. And you know the difference. You can feel when you're sitting with somebody and they're not really listening. And sometimes you can tell that somebody's truly listening by the feeling and also by the quality of questions that they ask. You can tell someone that's truly interested in what you're saying, and the quality of questions that they ask shows you that they're truly listening. And I think it's magical when someone can truly listen. Okay, so we've got for the Scorpios. Focus on the step that is in front of you today, dear Scorpio. Nothing else is going to matter more than this one step that's in front of you today. I want to go as far as saying it's a step that is already familiar. It's not something that's brand new and you're not going to know what to do with it or how to take this step. It's one that is familiar, and it's a step that's been in front of you for quite some time. It's just that perhaps your attention has been on 20 steps ahead. How do I get ahead? How do I get to that place that I want to be in? How do I get there? And so that's the kind of energy that you've been running with. And so that's taken you way too far ahead of the present moment. There is one step that is available for you and has been for a little while, but let's just go with today. That's available for you today. And until you honor or take this one step, step 20 is not going to be useful for you. Even knowing what step 20 is still won't change anything for you. So there's no point in going there. Many changes occur in your life as you honor this one step that is in front of you. Just to be clear, this one step that's in front of you could also be a conversation that is required. It could be you sharing or expressing something with somebody, and that's the step that's been in front of you for some time. It could be, you deciding that you're going to move into a completely different direction. I'm just making these things up. I don't actually know what the one step is. I'm saying this so that you understand that one step can look very different for each Scorpio. It's not like, oh, there's a step in front of me, I'm going to now take this step and go up the step. It's not literal. So it could be an idea that it's time for you to bring this idea to fruition. A door that you need to close. There's a door that could be open that you need to walk through. So there's one step in your life today that you need to honor. That's for the Scorpios. I think it's pretty simple. Sometimes it'd be fun, I feel. Maybe I should give this a go, but to just say to the star sign, for example, to the Scorpio, there's one step in front of you today, take that step. And that's it. End the video right there. I wonder what would happen. Rather than going into it and delving deeper and explaining. Where are we at? We're 39 minutes in. Okay, that's good. So she's gonna set up Sagittarius here. This is a great one. Again, I wrote one line for each star sign, I think about 3-4 days ago. Just helps for me to go, oh, that's the prompt. Great. Let's dive into. So I get the energy for the day. You don't ever need to chase inner wisdom, dear Sagittarius. My recommendation for you today is to take the time to understand what this means. And the reason I'm sharing this with you, in particular this line, you don't need to chase inner wisdom, is because you're looking at the story or external people, places, events to access a wisdom that you already have that will guide you to the next phase or the next level of your life. And you're at a place where it's about rising to that next level. The issue, however, is that you're looking outside of you for that wisdom and you're chasing that wisdom externally. I don't know how that looks for you in your life visually when I say you're chasing that inner wisdom. What I want to get across to the Sagittarians today, however, is that that inner wisdom lives within you already. So in order for you to access it, and it's important that you access it because you're at the end of the level of life that you're at. There's nothing else for you to learn at this level. It's about rising to that next level. And by the way, the next level that you rise to is going to be a big jump. So that means you're going to almost feel like a fish out of water when you arrive at that next level, because there's so much for you to learn and grow and become familiar with. You're basically accessing a whole different version of yourself at that next level. So between now and rising or jumping to that next level, you need to access your own inner wisdom and stop listening to the advice or the words or conversations outside and come back within. I would recommend for the Sagittarians to spend a good week or so going as quiet as you possibly can, go and focusing on that inner wisdom within. Inner wisdom within is your intuition, by the way. That's a great one. So again, I don't really know what I'm going to share. I didn't know that Sagittarians were going to that next level. It does feel to me like it's going to be a very big step, a really big jump for the Sagittarians, and it also feels that they're going to really feel like a fish out of water at that next level. So there's going to be a lot of discomfort. The discomfort is because you've moved from the old version of yourself and all that is familiar in that old space, that old version, and then the new version of you is not someone that you're familiar with yet. So becoming familiar with that new version is where the discomfort comes in, of course. I say of course, it may not necessarily be that simple for everybody else. Okay, and then we have Capricorn. So there's a bit of a warning here for the Capricorns. Let me just dive into the forecast right now. I feel like I want to say that there's a little bit of a warning for the Capricorns, and that is that everybody around you is going to claim to have the answers, is going to claim that they're experts and then they know which way you should go, what you should do. It's not that their answers or wisdom isn't useful, perhaps it is, because it's not about shutting people down. It's more about coming back to yourself and listening to what's within you right now, dear Capricorn. And I say this is a warning because the advice externally is going to go against the feeling you have deep within. Because the feeling that you have deep within isn't connected to the logic and the logical advice that is around you. So the people around you that are sharing their advice or their version of wisdom are coming from a logical space. What's within you right now has nothing to do with logic. It's something that sits in your heart that has nothing to do with logic and or decisions that you would normally make based on how people know you, based on who you think you are. So I also feel I want to say that there's a decision within you that will be quite surprising for you even, because it's not your norm. It's something that will take you out of your normal, even mental space. It's there within you for a reason. It's guiding you to take some new steps in your life moving forward. It's just initially listening to this wisdom within you is going to be challenging because you're used to the logical. You're used to things making a lot of sense. Oh, yep, it makes sense. Of course, if I do X, Y, Z, and this is then going to be the result, or this is what I'll come up with. What's within you at the moment, the decision or whatever it is that's within you that you need to pay attention to and listen to, won't have the formulas that you're used to working with. In particular, Capricorns are used to formulas, meaning logic, meaning that, oh, yep, 1 + 1 = 2, or 2 + 2 = 4, whatever, yes, common sense, blah, blah, blah. But what's within you at the moment is not about common sense. It's not about logic. It's not about understanding. It's not about pleasing everybody else. It has nothing to do with anyone. This is about you, your life, and some of the steps that you're going to need to take further down the track. So I feel like I could go as far as saying to the Capricorns, life is preparing you for something far greater. And so when life is preparing you for something far greater, you need to shut out all the noise. You can't listen to everybody else. And I'm not saying that people around you don't have good intentions. Of course they do. They just don't know what's within you. They don't understand what's sitting deep within you. So because they don't understand it, then it's going to come across as though they're going to try and stop you, or that they don't have good intentions. Okay, then we have Aquarius. Wow, we're really rocking through these today. Where are we here? Ah, beautiful. This is going to be a breath of fresh air for the Aquarians. Some very clear answers are now in your sphere moving forward from today, dear Aquarius, which for you will be a breath of fresh air. It'll support you to feel a lot lighter in your body, lighter in your life, lighter even in your own mind. These answers will allow you to implement some changes that will also support you to start to operate from a new mental space. When I say a new mental space, what I really mean is a new mindset. Now, the part where there's challenge is, first, you might see the new mindset, and the new mindset feels expansive. It feels even exciting. You can see a dream coming to fruition in your imagination, things of that nature, which is wonderful. Then maintaining that new mindset, or sustaining the new mindset, and the actions that you need to take, the conversations that you need to be having, and the space that you need to continue to operate from, that's the challenging part. Because of course, things happen, you kind of fall back into the story again. Emotions, ideas, thoughts take up your attention. So they take your power, so to speak. And when I say they take your power, it's because your attention is your power. So then lots of ideas come in, take your attention, your power. Then you have to keep bringing yourself back to this new mindset. So your job now becomes honoring the new mindset. So I started the forecast with letting you know there are clear answers in your sphere right now. These clear answers are here to support you to create that new mindset, which you will. Creating the new mindset won't be the difficult part. It's maintaining it that will be the most challenging part for you. That's for the Aquarians for today. I think that's a forecast that will probably run in the background of the lives of the Aquarians for quite some time, actually, until that mindset has become second nature, so to speak. Okay, and then we're on to the last one, which is Pisces, which is my sign. And no, I never know what's going to happen either. I wish I did, but I don't. Okay. Oh, didn't even know this. This is great. Okay. You'll push a button in your life today, and it's an internal button, dear Pisces, that will support you to start to bring more energy, meaning that you'll have more energy to then make some moves in your life. These are moves that you've wanted to make for some time. However, you haven't really had the energy, even the resources. By the way, it's energy that brings the resources. So let's just stick with energy. So you haven't really had the energy to be able to make these moves. These are moves that are kind of been sitting in the forefront, and also the background of your mind, maybe 3 to 6 months recent, 3 to 6 months. And then by moves, I'm referring to decisions. I'm referring to doors that you've wanted to walk through. However, you haven't been able to, mainly because of your thinking process. And so what's shifting here for the Pisceans is the same old mentality and the same old thoughts that have been consuming you for quite some time won't have the same impact on you anymore. So obviously there's been I say obviously, but there's been a shift in your life somewhere in order for you to no longer be impacted by those heavier or maybe even darker thoughts. And so the wonderful news is that you then begin to honor new decisions. These new decisions are all about you making new moves in your life. Most importantly here is the space that you begin to operate from. Now, first thing Monday morning, you won't notice this. My feeling is that it'll take you probably towards the later part, I say from like late afternoon, where you'll start to notice, hey, there's some fresh energy here. All of a sudden, I feel like I have more energy. So it won't hit first thing Monday morning. I want to make that super clear. And I'm making that super clear, by the way, guys, is because the first thing any Piscean is going to do is the moment they listen to that, and they're going to start looking, where's that energy? I'm not feeling it. Screw this. This is not it. Immediately, what have you done? You've just negated possibilities. You've negated opportunities. So that's why I felt it was important to let the Pisceans in particular know this is not something that's necessarily going to be first thing in the morning. Don't look for it. Don't ever look for any of the things that I'm saying. They will just pop up throughout your day anyway. The key for you is to be in the present moment and continue practicing present moment awareness. Thank you for being here today. I want to remind you guys that the 2026 yearly intuitive horoscopes you are available, meaning that you can now book in. There's only 5 people I'm allowing per group session so that I can focus on you guys as an individual. And it's via Zoom, so it's interactive. You're able to speak, ask questions, we can see each other. And I also want to be able to focus on delivering, I want to say, personal insights for each individual on that call. Again, 3 to 5 people per call is great. Some people may want to do it as one-on-one. You can do that as well. Thank you for your time. I will catch you all again tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead.